All right, we're going to start off in the key of F. That's the key that I normally sing this song in or play this melody line in, and the same key that I do my doo-wop mega medley. So if you haven't seen that, like I said, go ahead and give that a shot. Check it out. It'll hopefully inspire you to think about a whole bunch of different songs that you could learn. But let's go over the chord progression first before we do the melody line, because if the chord progression isn't correct, the melody line is not going to work. So this is in the key of F, all right? All we're going to do is an F like this, add a middle finger right there, make a D minor. Now what I usually do is just flatten out my pointer finger. Your pointer finger's already in the right spot. I flatten it out, lift up my ring finger, and move my middle finger back. And that is a G minor 7. All right? And then you go back a little bit further, lift up your middle finger, and just leave your pointer finger on the A string. And that makes the C7. So F, F, D minor, G minor 7, C7. All right? Right, you don't have to go that quick. It's... Now when you're learning the melody line, you want to go a little bit slower than that, but that's sort of the pace of the song, and I usually play a little bit faster, but I always play everything too fast. So I like the flowers. Just a reminder for those who may be like, I don't really know this song. It's I like the flowers, I like the daffodils, I like the mountains, I like the rolling hills, I like the fireplace when the light is low. Boom de-yada, 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 boom de-yada. So it's sort of like that. There might be more lyrics, but that's the basic gist of the song. But I just came up with the melody line for it, and then somebody else asked me if I could make the melody line in a different key, because that key doesn't work for their voice to sing. And so I was like, all right, well, I'll just make a whole tutorial out of it, make it in 5 different keys, and then hopefully that helps a bunch of people if they're interested in learning this song. All right, so for this particular one, there is different ways to do what I'm about to show you, but I'm going to show you how I do it, and then we're going to go to a different key, and I'll show you the next key will be a lot easier. But this is the key of F, and I actually do it all the way up here on the 13th fret. So for those of you who might have a soprano, or soprano, and you don't have 13 frets, then go ahead and skip this section and go right to the next section for in the key of G, because then I start doing it down here. But it's just easier. I could figure out a way to do it in F up here, but with the high G here, sometimes that limits your notes, how low you can go and stuff like that. But I also like these notes to be higher, because if someone is playing along with me, these notes are a lot higher, and they will rise above all the notes that whoever's strumming, all the notes they're using in those chords. So that's one reason why you might want to learn it up the neck. But I'm going to give you some different options, but in the key of F, here we are. So one thing I try to remind my students is when you're reading tablature, first of all, if you don't know how to read tablature, you read all 4 lines left to right. So if you look at the tablature on the screen, it starts with the 13 on the E string. You don't read the A string first and then go down to the E string and then down to the C. You read all 4 lines at the same time. We're going to start off on the 13th fret. But before we do, try to look at all the tablature and sort of look to see what the highest note on the tablature is and what the lowest note on the tablature is. Now, the lowest note is probably where you need to have your pointer finger, right? Now, we're not hitting, like the A string on the 10th fret is the lowest note. It's not the lowest note overall, but it's the lowest note lowest fret anyways, going down the neck. And so we want to make sure we have enough space for the rest of our fingers, because we started with that 13 with our pointer finger. As soon as we get to that 12, we have to move down one, and then we got to move back down to 10, right? On just those first 5 notes. It's 13, 13, 12, 10, 10, right? Put your pointer finger on the 10th fret, use your ring finger for the 13th fret, and your middle finger for the 12th fret. It'll make it a lot more fluid. Now, at first, you might be like, well, that's a lot harder. I just want to use my pointer finger. The more you use your other fingers, the more they're going to be able to cooperate with you in the future when you're doing more difficult anything, everything. If you can get your fingers to work independently, that'll work out a lot better for you in the long run. The other thing is you can go ahead and put your pointer finger down on the 10th fret as an anchor and go like this, right? So 13, 13, 12, 10, 10. And that's all on the E string, right? And then we're going to go to the 10th fret of the A string. All I do is sort of roll my finger back to the 10th fret. Instead of picking it up and putting it on the 10th fret, I just roll it back a little bit. Now, why would you want to do that? It makes it a little bit more fluid, but it also lets that note ring out just a little bit longer sometimes. All right, so 13, 13, 12, 10, 10, right? All with, and then your pointer finger rolls back to the 10th fret of the A string. And then we're going to go right back to that 13, 12 with your ring finger and your middle finger. And then you're going to go to the 12th fret of the C string. Right? And make sure you're listening to the melody. Don't necessarily just plow through the notes. Right? You want to go dum bum 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 bum, right? You want to make sure you're keeping the melody correct, right? Spaces where they belong. You can hear the little bounce there, bum 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 bum. You want to do that with the notes you're hitting, right? And for those of you who want an extra challenge, I don't know if you could see my right hand at all, but most of the time I was alternate picking. I wasn't using just one finger or just my thumb. I was going back and forth between my pointer and my middle on my right hand, all right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? That's that whole first line right there. So if you need to, pause the video, review that, do it a whole bunch, get it in your brain, because there's going to be 3 more lines coming up, all right? A lot of them are going to use the same exact notes we just did, so it might get a little confusing if you don't have this first part down. I know a lot of people, including myself sometimes, try to do the whole tablature from beginning to end right out of the gate, and they can't get the flow of the song. Break it down to little pieces and do what you need to do to remember how the song goes, right? And so that's the whole first section. So if you're ready for the second section, now when we're ending the first section, our middle finger's on the 12th fret of the C string, but now we have to go to the 12th fret of the A string. So just move it, try to keep those fingers on those same frets. So we're going to end on the 12th fret of the other section, first section. Then we're going to go 2 12s on the A string. All right, 12, 12, 10, 13, 13. And if you notice, my pointer finger has still just been sitting there the whole time as an anchor. That helps steady your hand so you're not moving around too much and then trying to, get my finger back where it goes. My fingers are just sort of hanging out there. And even if I rock back and forth with my tip on the E string and then back to the A string, it's still an anchor. It's going to be down the whole time for this whole song, whole melody anyways. All right. So back to the beginning, you're going to put your middle finger on the 12th fret. And then you go right back to the 12th fret again and the 10th. All right. So it's so another thing you can do is go back and keep referencing the song, because once you start breaking it into smaller pieces, you might start losing, well, where am I in the song? Where am I? So we're on the second part. I like the mountains. I like the rolling hills. Oh, sorry, I messed that up. Right? I like the mountains. I like the rolling hills. Right? All right, see how I'm barely moving at all. I'm just keeping everything really close in there. To get the notes ring out a little bit better, the closer you have them to the frets, without being on top of the frets, the more those notes are going to ring out, especially when you're further up the neck. You need to get closer there. You sort of lose some of that resonation. The string is a lot shorter now, right? The string is from here to here, or the distance anyways that's open. You're blocking the rest of the string, so, right? How much longer that note rings out. So you want to make sure you hit those notes a little harder so they ring out louder, but also the closer you are to the fret, the better. All right, let's go back to that second section. Middle finger on the second fret. This is I like the flowers, I like the rolling hills, right? I like the mountains, I like the rolling hills, right? And then it goes up. It's got a 15 on the next section, right? Just use your pinky. You should, that's not really a big stretch, because now that we're down, or actually up the neck, the frets are a lot closer together. You should be able to leave your pointer finger down on the 10th fret and just stretch your pinky to the 15th fret, right? Try to use these markers to help you figure out where the 15th fret is. Some ukuleles actually have a marker on the 15th fret. This particular one doesn't, but I know that that's 10 and that's 12, and then you just sort of count up, right? 12, 13, 14, 15. But once you sort of get the reference, you don't have to count every time, right? The other thing you can sort of say, oh, it's 2 frets up from wherever my ring finger is, right? But it's, I like the fireplace when the light is low. That's the highest note we're gonna hit, is that 15th fret. Right? I like the fireplace when the light is low, right? So, but you notice my pointer finger stayed down the whole time, and I'm just barely moving these 2 fingers around. I only hit that 15 as the first note in the third line. But see how slow I took it? I sang along with it. That'll help you keep the rhythm of the song. I like the fireplace when the light is low. All right. So give that a shot. Pause the video if you need to. Just work on that one section and then see if you can do the first section and the second section together. And then once you can do that, try to do the second section and the third section together. And then try to do the first, second, and third section together. The fourth section is pretty easy. It just repeats twice this whole line. So it's the fourth and the fifth line. But it uses the same notes we just used, except for you're going to add your middle finger to the 12th fret of this. Well, I guess we did that on the first line once, but we're going to add our middle finger on the 12th fret of the C string for part of it. But it's, I've heard different things. Boom diata is what I hear, but I've on the lyric sheet, it might say doom diata, but I say boom diata, 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 right? So you're just going, that's all you do for those 2 lines. And then you can go back to singing the song, or if you want, you can go back to the top of the instrumental and do the whole thing again, right? Once you learn it, you do whatever you want with it. I'll give you suggestions and stuff like that, but make it your own, especially if you're playing in a group. You might want to give different people different chances to play the instrumental by themselves or play them together. Usually what I do, I've only done this song individually a few times. I usually sing the chorus, strumming, do the melody line, sing the chorus, do the melody line, do the chorus in the song. But let me show you something really quick. Let's see, I'm gonna do that last part real quick. I messed it up a little bit, but I usually have in the mega medley, sometimes I add all the little instrumentals, and this is one of the instrumentals. Both of those are some of the instrumentals that I add to the mega doo-wop mega medley, and they're both in the same key. They use identically the same notes, just in different order. So you saw my brain stop for a second, and I think I hit one wrong note, but then I caught up again, and after some practice, you'll be able to do it. So if that's something else you're interested in, maybe I'll make a tutorial for, if you didn't recognize it, Heart and Soul, in all the different keys. So that way, maybe you guys can have a little instrumental medley, or play a little bit of one song, do the melody of that song, sing a little bit of the next song, do another little melody. I think I have like 5 or 6 that all are on the doo-wop mega medley. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know, and I'll put it together. So I hope that was informative, and like I said, if that's not a good key for you, stay tuned and try the next key. This is going to be a lot easier, but it is in the key of G. Now, Kirk, if this is the melody's easier and it's down here, why wouldn't you want to play it in that key? In the mega medley that I sing, it has some really low parts and it has some really high parts. So I need to make sure that my voice can do both of them without stretching too much. So F just happens to be the best key for my voice for Big Girls Don't Cry, and also Duke of Earl. That's the low part. Big Girls Don't Cry is super high. If I played this in G, that means those notes for Big Girls Don't Cry would go up a whole step, right? Or 2 frets. That would probably be too much for my voice. But if I moved it down too much, then that Duke of Earl would end up graveling out my voice, and that's not good either. I might be able to pull it off once, but if I'm playing a gig, you know, it's an hour gig, or sometimes I'll play a 3-hour gig, I do a whole bunch of songs like that that aren't the best key for my voice, and it wears my voice out. So anyways, hopefully G is a good key for you. At the very least, it'll be easier to play because it's lower on the neck. So this is the key of G. The chords for the doo-wop chord progression are G, E minor, A minor, D7. I like the flowers, I like the daffodils, I like the mountains, I like the rolling hills, I like the fireplace when the light is low. Boom de-yada, 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 boom de-yada. So that's basically the song. But now here's the melody line. Sort of like I said in the first part, I'll do a reminder just in case people didn't watch it. Try to look at the tablature. You read all the tablature left to right, right? All 4 lines. We're actually going to start on the 3rd fret of the E string, right? That's it right there. And then what's the lowest note we're going to hit? The lowest note we're going to hit is open, right? So we probably will not use our pointer finger for this one. Now you could come down here and use your pointer and middle for this, but I always encourage people to give your pointer finger a break. Your pointer finger is usually playing something in every chord that you're playing, right? So the more you can use your other 3 fingers, the better, all right? So let's try to use our ring finger for the 3rd fret, our middle finger for the 2nd fret, and you look in that 3rd line, well, you'll get to it, you'll be using your pinky on the 5th fret of the A string, but we'll get to that. But this first section, all we're gonna use is our middle finger and our ring finger on the 3rd and 2nd fret, all right? So same melody line, try to think of the song while you're playing it. So it's that's too low. I like the flowers, I like the daffodils, right? So try to think of that as you're playing. So those notes are lower than I'm singing it. But these are the same notes that we're playing when we're strumming, right? So when I'm strumming that G, we're using that note right there. When we're strumming the E minor, we're still using that note and that note. The A minor, we're using the open notes, right? That we use on the E string and the A string. And then the D7, the 2nd fret of the E string. So that's another thing you could sort of think of when you're trying to figure out melody lines on your own. Think of the chords and what notes you're hitting and see if any of those notes work for the melody line. All right. But let's start with that ring finger on the 3rd fret. It's 3, 3, 2, 0, 0, all on the same string. Right? And then you're going to go to 0, 0 on the A string. And then right back to the 3, 0 or 3, 2, 0 on the E string. Right? And then we're going to end on the 2nd fret of the C string. But it's I like the flowers, I like the daffodils, right? Right? So that sort of rolls down 0, 0, 3, 2, 0, 2 for that 2nd section. But try to think of the melody line as you go. All right, let's try this again. 1, 2, 3, 4. I like the flowers, I like the daffodils, right? All right, so if you need to, pause the video, just practice that for a while, and then move on to the 2nd section in the key of G, right? Now, the 2nd section of the key of G, we're gonna start with our middle finger on the 2nd fret of the A string. And it's I like the mountains, I like the rolling hills. But it's going to be a little bit higher, right? I like the mountains. I like the I like the rolling hills, right? So it's good to sing along because as soon as I hit a wrong note, I knew that I was singing the wrong note, right? So it's I like right? I like the mountains. I like the rolling hills. And that'll also help you keep the spacing of the lyrics, the song, the melody line, all that stuff. So you're not just plowing through it going, right? You want it to go, bum, bum, bum. Oh, sorry. Right? You want it to be bouncy on this one. This is a really bouncy song. So give that a shot again. Let's try it. And also, if just in case you skipped the first part of this video in the key of F, if you want to give yourself an extra challenge, when you're picking, alternate your pointer and your middle. Don't do everything with your pointer or everything with your thumb, right? All right, second section. Let's try it one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, there you go. All right, so if you need to, pause the video, work on the first section and the second section individually, and then put them together, see if you do the whole shebang, and then move on to the third section. All right, let's try that third line. Now we're coming off of 0, 2, 3 in the second line, so you got to have that finger down and add your pinky to the 5th fret. When the light is low. I like the fire. I like the fireplace when the light is low. That's the third line, but you're coming off that 3 from the second line, so that you want to go to your pinky on the 5th fret. All right, practice that a whole bunch. And then try to fit the second section to the third section, and then add the first section, second section, and third section. If you can put all those together fluently, then you're ready for the 4th and 5th section. Now, the 4th and 5th section are identical, and they're totally different than what we've been doing, but they use a lot of the same notes that we just did. It's the boom-diata section. Now, some people say doom-diata, boom-diata, whatever. I say boom-diata. So, but it's 3 4 times, open 4 times on the E string, and then open 4 times on the A string, and then 4 times on the C string on the 2nd fret. Boom-diata, 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 boom-diata. Right, so that's sped up a little bit. So don't worry about going that fast right away, but I wanted you to hear how it's supposed to go. And it's still really bouncy and stuff, so don't plow through the notes going. All right, now we're gonna switch to the key of A. This is gonna be a little different. Now, the chords themselves actually are gonna be a little bit harder. The melody line is not going to be any different other than we're switching frets. But the chords are A, an F sharp minor, and sometimes people are like, oh my gosh, I can't play an F sharp minor. If you could play a G7 like this, an F sharp minor is the same exact thing, except for you're moving all your fingers one string closer to your chin. Or if you're already playing the A, which you would be, all you do is you add your ring finger to the 2nd fret of the E string. That's what it should sound like. I don't know if you can see all that. All right, so we're doing an A, and then adding your ring finger on the 2nd fret of the E string. So it's, right? And then the 3rd chord is a B minor. That is one way to do the B minor. If you have a hard time doing this part, just do that. And that is a B minor 7. And then an E7 is a little difficult for beginners. 1st fret for the G string, 2nd fret for the C string, leave the E string open, and then your ring finger on the 2nd fret of the A string. All right, so that's the 4 chords for the key of A. A, if you want, we'll just do two down strums. A, F sharp minor, B minor, E7. Sounds nice. So that's the key. Those are the chords we use for the key of A. Now let's get into the melody line in the key of A, right? So same thing I always say, look at the tablature, find the lowest note that you're going to play, or lowest on the neck anyways, and that's generally where you're going to at least start with your pointer finger planting down. For this one, it's going to be on the 2nd fret of the A string, but that doesn't mean that that's the first note we hit. The first note we hit is actually going to be the 5th fret of the E string, right? So you can stretch your fingers out like this, and it should be 5, 5, 4, 2, 2, right? Right, just like the other ones. I like the flowers. You have to change your voice too. We just changed keys, so you have to make a choice. What's best for your voice when you're singing the song anyways, is either go higher or lower. I chose to go lower. I like the flowers. Now you aren't going to be singing while you're doing the melody line, but when you're doing the song, that's one way to choose the key to the song, is one that goes good with your voice. I like the flowers. That wouldn't be a good choice for me. I would be able to pull it off, but it would be kind of comedic, right? But I guess this is the fun song. I could probably pull it off. All right, so 5, 5, 4, 2, 2, right? And then see how my pointer finger's already on the 5th fret? I'm sorry, 2nd fret of sort of the A and the E string. That's the next note, is the A string on the 2nd fret, right? And then your other fingers go right back to the 5th fret and the 4th fret and the 2nd fret of the E string, right? So it's, and then we're going to go to the middle finger is going to be on the 4th fret of the C string. Right? That was a little harsh, but you get it. So that's the whole first line, just sitting right there. The whole second line is going to be using the same notes, right? Just in different order. But now we're going to start with the 4th fret, our middle finger on the 4th fret of the A string. Right? So that's the second line. I like the mountains. I like the rolling hills, right? Right? So same thing with the other ones. Do each section a little bit at a time. Pause the video if you need to. Just practice the one section. Practice the other section. See if you can put them all together, right? Now for the third section, whenever you're ready for that, all right, so we're going to, remember, you're going to end on the 5th fret of the A string in the 2nd section, but we need to stretch our pinky to the 7th fret, all right? So if you need to, you can rock your hand a little bit, but try to keep your finger down, your ring finger down, but the next note after the 7th fret, we're going to go to the 4th fret right here with your middle finger. Right? So if you need to, practice that. 7, 4, 2, 7, 4, 2, 7, 4, 2. You don't have to go that fast, but anyways. So 7, 4, 2, and then your ring finger is going to go to the 5th fret. Right? So all those notes are going to be right here, right? Except for that 7. Right? 7, 4, 2, 5, 2, 4, 5, 4, 2, 5, 4. So just make sure you're staying with the melody. I like the fireplace when the light is low, right? Go as slow as you need to. Do that part over and over again. Go back to the second section, try to fit them together. Go back to the first section, try to fit all three together. Then when you got that down, then go to the fourth section. Now the fourth section is still going to be 4 of those notes we've already used. So we're not going to be doing anything new, but we're going to do 5 4 times, and then the 2, and then sort of like we did before, you just rock your finger back on the 2nd fret back to the A string, and then your middle finger is going to be on the 4th fret of the C string. Well, sorry. Did it again. And then same thing, work up that and add that to the other sections, and then see if you can do the whole shebang. Go as slow as you need to. Go as slow as you need to. Sometimes we go too fast and it keeps messing up like I did. And what did? I kept at it, but I slowed it down a little bit, and then I got it. All right. Good job. All right, now we're going to try it in the key of C. Now, this is generally the easiest key for us to play in, right? The ukulele anyways. And the chords are to C, A minor, D minor, G7. All right, C, A minor, D minor, G7. If you want to challenge yourself, you can add a D minor 7, which is your pinky on the 3rd fret of the A string. So it's so it is a little bit more challenging, but I always encourage people to use their pinky, even though I don't really do D minor that often, D minor 7 that often, but it does sound a little different. All right, so that's it. I like the flowers, I like the daffodils, I like the mountains, I like the rolling hills, I like the fireplace when the lights are low. Boom de-yada, boom de-yada, boom de-yada, boom de-yada, right? And then you can do that last part twice. So we're going to move up a little bit more. The notes are going to start on the 8th fret, but just like I always say, look at all of the tablature and see what the lowest note is, lowest on the neck, not necessarily the lowest note, but the lowest note on the neck, and that's going to be the 5th fret, right? So sort of plant your pointer finger on the 5th fret, then your middle finger can play the 7th fret, and your ring finger can do that 8th fret, but we're going to play the 8th fret first, right? Right? I like the flowers. Depends on how you're doing it. And then same thing we did with the other one. Just rock your pointer finger back a little bit. Now you're on the 5th fret of the A string. And then right back to the 8, 7, 5. But now you're going to add that last note on the 7th fret of the C string. Right? I like the flowers, I like the daffodils, right? And obviously you can sing higher than that if you need to or want to. But that's the whole first phrase. So pause the video, practice that a whole bunch, and let's get into the second part. Now the second part starts on the 7th fret of the A string. Right? 7, 7, 5, 8, 8, back to the A string, 7, 5, back to the E string with the 8th. So it's so try to sing along with it and get the phrasing right so the melody's right. I like the mountains, I like the rolling hills, right? There's a little bit of a pause in there. I like the mountains, pause. I like the rolling hills, and then the notes come quicker, right? It pauses and then a bunch of notes. So keep that in mind when you're doing it. So same thing. You got certain fingers for certain frets. Try to use those fingers on there. And as I've suggested before, alternate pick with your right hand. It's difficult at first, right? But after you get this on automatic pilot, it makes more difficult things easier later. All right, let's go to the third line. Now, the third line, remember, we're ending the second line on the 8th fret. Your ring finger is going to be on the 8th fret, but the first note of the third line is that 10th fret, right? So use those markers, 5, 7, 10, 12. Use those markers on your uke to help you navigate so you're already know where your pinky needs to go, right? And then we're going to go to the... So it's... There you go. I was trying to do it without looking, but that's it. So you want that to be fluid, right? So, but you're gonna be on the 8th fret, stretch your pinky to the 10th fret, then go back to the 7th fret to the 5th fret. So practice that. So you can practice that, practice that. And once you practice that a whole bunch, then try to do the whole third section, right? And then go back and try to fit it together with the first section and the second section. See if you can play the whole shebang, right? And then once you can play the first 3 lines, then go to the 4th line. They're all the notes that we've already done, right? So there's nothing new, but now it's going to be 4 8s, and then 4 5s on the E string, 4 5s on the A string, and then your middle finger is going to go to the 7th fret for 4 notes of the C string. Right? So, and that's it. So go back and see if you can do the whole thing, and then see if you can play the whole song. And sort of like I said earlier in the video, you can use this as an intro and then just play the song twice, or you can play the song and then do this as a solo, and then back to the song, and then come back again. If you have more people in your group, you guys can switch on and off and take turns doing the solo parts, or you can play it together. One of you could be strumming while the other one is playing. But like I've said in previous videos, whoever is doing the melody line needs to be the loudest person. And that requires 2 things. The person who is strumming needs to be strumming softer than the person doing the melody line, but also the person doing the melody line needs to be louder than the person strumming. So if you're doing this, you know, doing that, and they're going as soft as they can, they still can't hear your melody, then it's up to you to start plucking those notes a little harder, a little louder, so that way it is louder than the strums. But the bigger the group, the harder that is. So if you do play in a bigger group and you're having the melody line, my advice is to get a few people to do the melody line and a few people to do the strumming.